claimant. They are claimants to the dead man's estate. Clairvoyant. A clairvoyant man-woman. Clam. Steamed clams. Clamber. The children clambered over the rocks. Clamor. A clamor outside woke them in the night. Clammed. A hose clammed. Clan. The tribe is divided into clans. Clang. His fork clanged against the plate. Clap. They cheered and clapped for the band. Clarify. Can you clarify exactly what it is you're proposing? Clarity. The essays are edited for clarity. Clash. Police and protesters clashed yesterday. Clasp. Can you fasten the clasp on this bracelet for me? Class. There are 20 students in the class. Classic. Classic novels, movies. Classical. The classical idea of beauty. Classified. A classified directory. Classify. Students will be learning about the way scientists classify animals. Classmate. We were classmates in high school. Classy. A classy hotel. Clatter. The shutters clattered against the house. Clause. The sentence "when it rained they went inside" consists of two clauses: when it rained and they went inside. Claw. The eagle was carrying a mouse in its sharp claws. Clay. A clay pot pipe tablet. Clean. A clean floor. Cleaner. Street window cleaners. Cleaning. She needs someone to help her with the cleaning while she is recovering from surgery. Clear. The show was a clear failure. Clearance. You'll have to get clearance from management to go ahead with the project. Clearing. The clearing of the table. Clearly. You should try to speak more clearly. Cleave. The axe easily cleaves the log. Cleft. The river begins as a trickle of water from a cleft in the rock. Clemency. The judge ignored the prisoner's pleas for clemency. Clement. The country is known for its clement mild weather. Clench. He clenched his teeth and continued to look straight ahead. Clergy. Local clergy have been invited to participate in an interfaith service. Clerk. A bank office clerk. Clever. A few clever students have started a business recycling old computers. Cleverness. A cat's cleverness. Cliché. A speech filled with clichés about finding your way and keeping the faith. Click. He clicked his heels together and saluted the officer. Client. A lawyer's clients. Cliff. Standing at the edge of the cliff, we watched the waves crash on the shore far below. Climate. living in a cold, dry, mild, hot climate. Climax. The movie's climax is a fantastic chase scene. Climb. Climb a ladder tree. Climbing. We're going to go climbing this weekend. Clinch. His home run clinched the victory. Cling. The children clung together under the little umbrella waiting for the storm to pass. Clinic. The clinic is offering free screening for diabetes. Clinical. Both experimental and clinical evidence show that the treatment is effective. Clink. The bottles clink together. Clip. Hair clips. Clipper. A hedge clipper. Cloak. The soldiers began their attack under cloak of darkness. Cloakroom. The ladies' cloakroom is down the hall. Clock. Sheila glanced at the clock on the wall. It was now 2:30. Clockwise. Turn the screw clockwise to tighten it. Clod. Her husband such a clod. Clog. The sink was clogged by with dirt and grease. Clone. The clone of an adult female sheep. Close. Please close the door. Closely. The houses on our street are crowded very closely together. Closeness. The closeness felt by a parent and child. Closet. The sheets and blankets are in the hall closet. Closure. Business closures. Clot. We were told that his stroke was caused by a clot in his brain. Cloth. A piece of cloth. Clothe. The cost of feeding and clothing your children. Clothing. An expensive article item piece of clothing. Clotted. Clotted arteries. Cloud. The sun is shining and there's not a cloud in the sky. Cloudless. A cloudless blue sky. Cloudy. Tomorrow will be cloudy and cold. Cloud. She used her political clout to have another school built. Clove. A garlic clove. Clown. A circus clown. Club. An exclusive social men's club. Clue. The book gives the reader plenty of clues to solve the mystery. Continued. Please accept our best wishes for your continued success. Continuing. I'm surprised by the film's continuing popularity. Continuous. The album is divided into different tracks, but it is really one continuous song. Contraceptive. A contraceptive device method pill. Contract. The contract requires him to finish work by the end of the year. Contraction. The hot metal undergoes contraction as it cools. Contractor. They hired a contractor to remodel the kitchen. Contradict. Contradict a rumor. Contradiction. No one was surprised by the defendant's contradiction of the plaintiff's accusations. Contrary. The sisters gave contrary answers. One said yes and one said no. Contribute. He contributed $100 to the charity. Contribution. She made a $100 contribution to breast cancer research. Contrivance. The story is filled with plot contrivances that do not fit the ending. Contrive. The prisoners contrived a way to escape. Control. The parents could not control their child. Controversial. Abortion is a highly controversial subject issue topic. Controversy. The decision aroused created much controversy among the students. Convene. The students convened in the gym. Convenience. An elevator was available for the shopper's convenience. Convenient. When is a convenient time for you to meet? Conveniently. Several restaurants are conveniently located nearby. Convent. She joined the convent. Convention. We go to the week-long annual teachers' convention every summer. Converge. The two roads converge in the center of town. Conversation. A casual telephone private conversation. Convert. The cells absorb light and convert it to energy. Convertible. A convertible sofa. Convey. The singer was conveyed from her hotel to the airport by limousine. Convict. There is sufficient evidence to convict. Conviction. She hopes to avoid conviction. Convince. He convinced me that the story was true. Convincing. Your argument story isn't very convincing. Convincingly. They won convincingly. Convulsion. The patient suffers from convulsions. Coo. The baby cooed quietly in her crib. Cook. He's a good cook. Cookery. Mexican cookery. Cookie. The recipe makes about 24 cookies. Cooking. I do most of the cooking in our house. Cool. A cool breeze. Cooler. The sodas are in the cooler. Coolie. My idea was received coolly. Coolness. I was surprised by his coolness towards us. Cooperate. It will be much easier if everyone cooperates. Cooperation. The report cited a lack of cooperation between state and local officials. Cooperative. Cooperative children. Coordinate. She'll be coordinating the relief effort. Cop. He threatened to call the cops on us. Cope. The trial has been difficult, but I am learning to cope. Copious. The storm produced a copious amount of rain. Copper. The wires are copper. Copy. The paintings at the museum are originals, not copies. Coral. Brightly colored fishes swimming among the coral. Cord. She wore the key on a cord around her neck. Cordial. We received a cordial greeting from our hostess at the party. Core. An apple core. Cork. A piece of cork. Corn. Driving past fields of corn. Corner. The corner of a box tablecloth. Cornstarch. I use some cornstarch to thicken the gravy. Corny. A corny joke. Coronation. The coronation of Queen Elizabeth. Corporate. We have to change the corporate structure to survive. Corporation. He works as a consultant for several large corporations. Corps. The U.S. Marine Corps. Corpse. A battlefield strewn with corpses. Corpulent. A corpulent man. Correct. What's the correct answer response to this question? Correction. They ran published a correction in today's paper. Correctly. If I remember correctly, he was a good baseball player in high school. Correctness. We question the correctness of his actions. Correlation. The correlation of brain size and with intelligence. Correspond. In some countries, the role of president corresponds to that of prime minister. Correspondence. They communicated by telephone and correspondence. Corridor. She slowly walked down the long, dark corridor. Corrupt. He believes that violence on television and film is corrupting our children. Corruption. There are rumors of widespread corruption in the city government. Cosign. My mother co-signed the loan on my car. Cosmetic. Use a cosmetic to hide the scar. Cosmic. Cosmic theories. Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan writers. Cost. The original cost of the house was $200,000. Costume. Children in their Halloween costumes. Cottage. We rented a cottage for the weekend. Cotton. They are in the field picking cotton. Couch. A psychiatrist's couch. Cough. She was coughing and sneezing all day. Could. When I was younger, I could run fast, but I can't run fast now. Council. The city council is considering a ban on smoking in restaurants. Counsel. You were unwise to reject my counsel. Count. Count the plates on the table. Countdown. Begin the countdown. Countenance. The photograph showed a somber countenance. Counter. He walked up to the counter and ordered his food. Counteract. The drug will counteract the poison. Counterfeit. They were counterfeiting money in his garage. Countless. He has written countless magazine and newspaper articles. Country. The two countries have a lot in common. Countryside. She lives in the countryside. County. the largest school district in the county. Coup. A military coup. Couple. A happily married couple. Coupon. Bring in this coupon for a free oil change. Courage. The troops showed great courage in battle. Courageous. A courageous soldier. Courier. A courier will deliver the photo this afternoon. Course. The course of a river. Court. Court is now in session. Courteous. The clerks were helpful and courteous. Courtesy. They treated us with courtesy and kindness. Courtship. They had a 2-year courtship before marrying. Cousin. Everyone came to the wedding, including a distant cousin no one had heard from in years. Cove. A coastline dotted with coves. Cover. The gardener covered the soil with mulch. Coverage. The issue is not getting much coverage in the mainstream press. Covered. A covered dish container jar bowl. Covering. The ground was hidden under a covering of snow. Covert. A covert glance look. Covetous. The expensive car drew many covetous looks. Cow. Horses, chickens, and cows. Coward. A proven coward who had deserted his troops. Cowardly. He insisted on avoiding a cowardly retreat. Cowboy. A movie about cowboys in the Old West. Cower. They cowered at the sight of the gun. Coy. A coy flirt. Cozy. A cozy restaurant cottage. Crab. We had crab for dinner. Crack. The hailstones were big enough to crack some windows. Cracker. A plate of cheese and crackers. Cracking. I think it's a cracking story. Crackle. The logs crackled in the fire. Cradle. She rocked the cradle. Craft. The potter has been studying his craft for 2 decades. Craftsman. Skilled craftsmen carve the enormous mantle. Craftsmanship. The table is a fine piece of craftsmanship. Crag. The goat stood on the mountain crag. Cram. He crammed the suitcase with his clothes. Cramp. I got a cramp in my leg while running. Cranberry. Cranberry sauce juice. Crane. A crane operator. Cranky. I've been cranky all day because I didn't get enough sleep. Crab. She treats him like crab. Crappy. Crappy music weather. Crash. Investigators are still trying to determine why the airplane crashed. Crate. The bear arrived at the zoo in a crate. Crater. Scientists believe the enormous crater was created by the impact of a meteorite thousands of years ago. Crave. Like many celebrities, he craves attention. Craving. I had felt a sudden craving for French fries, so I pulled into the nearest fast food restaurant. Crawl. Does the baby crawl yet? Craziness. The craziness of war. Crazy. A hospital for crazy people. Cream. Would you like some cream in your coffee? Crease. He ironed his pants to make the creases sharp. Create. Several new government programs were created while she was governor. Creation. The play continues to entertain audiences 25 years after its creation. Creative. He was more creative than the other students. Creature. Rabbits, squirrels, and other furry creatures. Credential. My experience as a manager is my strongest credential. Credibility. The new evidence lends credibility to their theory. Credit. Banks that extend credit to the public. Creditor. She owes thousands of dollars to creditors. Credulity. Although most of the book is believable, its ending test strains credulity. Credulous. Few people are credulous enough to believe such nonsense. Creed. The religion's creed. Creek. The children waded in the creek. Creep. A spider was creeping along the bathroom floor. Creepy. A creepy movie. Cremate. He wants to be cremated when he dies. Creole. Some people in Louisiana speak Creole. Crescent. The crescent moon. Crest. Wave crests. Crew. A skilled member of a ship's crew. Crewman. 8 crewmen were wounded in the attack. Crib. Crib notes. Crime. Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Criminal. Committing criminal acts activities. Crimson. A crimson dress. Cripple. He returned from war a cripple. Crisis. The AIDS crisis. Crisp. The pie's deliciously crisp crust. Critic. A film theater art critic. Critical. You're always so critical. Critically. The movie was critically acclaimed. Criticism. There was much public criticism leveled at the senator. Criticize. His boss criticized him for his sloppy work habits. Croak. We could hear the frogs croaking by the pond. Crochet. She learned basic crochet stitches from her mother. Crock. Chili served in a crock. Crocodile. A crocodile purse. Crook. He thinks politicians are just a bunch of crooks. Crooked. A crooked smile grin. Crop. Corn crops. Cross. A necklace with a gold cross. Crossing. Stop at the railroad crossing. Cross-legged. She curled up into a cross-legged position. Crossover. The actor made a smooth crossover to politics. Crossroad. Traffic was stopped at the crossroad. Crow. The cock's rooster's loud crow. Crown. The winner of the beauty pageant walked down the runway wearing her sparkling crown. Crucial. Vitamins are crucial for maintaining good health. Crucify. Jesus Christ was crucified. Crude. Crude tools. Cruel. A cruel dictator tyrant. Cruelly. He was cruelly beaten. Cruelty. A dictator tyrant known for his cruelty. Cruise. We cruised for a week down the Yangtze River. Crumb. He swept the crumbs from under the table. Crumble. Crumble the cookies into small bits. Crummy. We've had crummy weather all week. Crumple. She crumpled the piece of paper into a ball and tossed it into the garbage can. Crunch. The snow crunched underfoot. Crusade. She has devoted herself to the crusade for equal rights for all people. Crush. Unfortunately, some of the flowers got crushed when we were moving them. Crushing. The team suffered a crushing loss. Crust. Her children prefer to eat their sandwiches with the crusts cut off. Crutch. He's able to walk short distances with crutches but prefers his wheelchair. Cry. The baby is crying. Is she okay? Crying. A crying fit jag spell. Cryptic. A cryptic message title remark. Crystal. I saw crystals. Cub. A bear fox lion cub. Cube. An ice cube. Cubicle. An office cubicle. Cuckoo. They told me that he's a little cuckoo. Cuddle. He cuddled the puppy. Cudgel. A politician who is being cudgeled in the press for his failure to support tax cuts. Cue. That last line is your cue to exit the stage. Cuff. She wore a cuff bracelet. Cul-de-sac. Our house is located on a quiet cul-de-sac. Culinary. Culinary herbs. Culprit. The police eventually located the culprits. Cult. A satanic cult. Cultural. Cultural studies. Culture. A study of Greek language and culture. Cumbersome. A cumbersome package. Cunning. A cunning criminal. Cup. A coffee cup. Cupboard. A jelly cupboard. Cupid. a valentine decorated with hearts and cupids. Curb. We sat on the curb eating our ice cream. Curd. The curds have separated from the whey. Cure. The disease has no cure. Curiosity. Her natural curiosity led her to ask more questions. Curious. The cat was naturally curious about its new surroundings. Curl. The boy curled the spaghetti around his fork. Curly. She has curly hair and blue eyes. Current. Black red currants. Currency. A new currency has been introduced in the foreign exchange market. Current. The current month. Currently. The product is not currently available. Curriculum. The undergraduate mathematics curriculum. Curry. We had chicken curry for dinner. Curse. I heard him utter a curse before the microphone was shut off. Cursed. Some people think the old house is cursed. Curtain. She closed the curtains. Curvature. The lenses have different curvatures. Curve. The dog's tail has a slight curve. Cushion. A seat sofa cushion. Custodial. Her mother is the custodial parent. Custody. She has sole custody of her daughter. Custom. Tribal local family ancient customs. Customary. He forgot the customary thank you. Customer. She is one of our best regular customers. Custom made. All his clothes are custom made. Cut. Cut the paper along on the dotted line. Cute. What a cute little baby. Cutlery. Plastic cutlery. Cutlet. Veal chicken cutlets. Cutter. A diamond cutter. Cyberspace. We send email through cyberspace. Cycle. The female menstrual cycle. Cynical. Cynical people say there is no such thing as true love. Dad. Her mom and dad both said she can't go. Daft. He's got a daft sense of humor. Daily. Television has become a part of our daily lives. Dainty. Her hair was decorated with dainty pink flowers. Dairy. Dairy products, foods such as cheese and ice cream. Dale. The beautiful hills and dales of our county. Dam. The government has plans to build a dam and flood the valley. Damage. The items were carefully wrapped to protect them from damage during shipping. Damaging. The damaging effects of the sun on your skin. Dame. She's one classy dame. Excruciating. I have an excruciating headache. Excursion. A fishing excursion. Excuse. Please excuse my clumsiness. Execute. He was captured, tried, and executed for murder. Execution. Execution by lethal injection. Executive. A sales executive. Exemplar. Cited Joan of Arc as the exemplar of courage. Exemplify. His works exemplify the taste of the period. Exempt. He was exempt from military service. Exercise. Get plenty of fresh air and exercise. Exhale. She inhaled deeply and exhaled slowly, trying to relax. Exhaust. If you keep working these long hours, you're just going to exhaust yourself. Exhausted. She collapsed on her bed, totally exhausted. Exhausting. We have an exhausting amount of work to do. Exhibition. A notable exhibition of courage. Exile. They hoped that his exile would be temporary. Exist. She believes that ghosts really do exist. Existence. The existence of ghosts. Existing. Making changes to the existing structure. Exit. Use the emergency exit in case of fire. Exodus. The war caused a mass exodus of refugees. Exotic. Exotic colors, flavors. Expand. The liquid expands and contracts with changes in temperature. Expansion. Territorial expansion. Expect. We expect the economy will improve. Expectant. An expectant crowd waited for her arrival. Expectantly. The crowd waited expectantly for her arrival. Expectation. Their expectation was that the plan would succeed. Expedient. They found it expedient to negotiate with the terrorists. Expel. The club may expel members who do not follow the rules. Expend. You can only lose weight by expending more calories than you take in. Expenditure. Your income should exceed your expenditures. Expense. I'd like to save the time and expense of redoing the whole thing. Expensive. An expensive hobby. Experience. The best way to learn is by experience. Experiment. Students will carry out simple laboratory experiments. Experimental. Experimental data evidence. Expert. A computer expert. Expertise. His expertise on defense will help the team. Expertly. The furniture was expertly constructed. Expire. This offer expires March 1st. Explain. I need a lawyer to explain this contract to me. Explanation. Some of the more technical terms require explanation. Expletive. Angry expletives fill the air. Explicit. They were given explicit instructions. Explode. The bomb could explode at any minute. Exploded. An exploded view diagram of an engine. Exploit. Performing heroic exploits. Exploration. Space exploration. Explore. Researchers are exploring how language is acquired by children. Explorer. Arctic explorers. Explosion. The filmmaker staged the car's explosion. Explosive. A highly explosive substance. Export. Countries that export oil to the U.S. Expose. The shingles had fallen off, exposing the wood underneath. Exposition. The subject requires some exposition. Exposure. Exposure to heat, cold. Express. He expressed an interest in meeting her. Expression. Freedom of expression. Expressly. Smoking is expressly forbidden. Expulsion. The government engaged in mass expulsions. Exquisite. Exquisite workmanship. Extend. Extend your arms in front of you. Extended. We went on an extended vacation. Extension. Extension of the patient's life. Extensive. An extensive reading list. Extensively. She has written extensively on this subject. Extent. She tried to determine the extent of the damage. Exterior. An exterior surface. Exterminate. We made arrangements to have the termites exterminated. Exterminator. We hired an exterminator to get rid of the termites. Extinct. An extinct animal. Extinguish. The fire department was called in to extinguish the blaze. Extortion. He was arrested and charged with extortion. Extra. A sandwich with extra mayonnaise. Extract. He extracted a credit card from his wallet. Extraction. Tooth extractions and other dental procedures. Extraordinary. The researchers made an extraordinary discovery. Extreme. The plant is sensitive to extreme heat and cold. Extremely. She is extremely generous. Exude. Pine trees exude a sticky substance. Eye. Her eyes slowly became accustomed to the dark. Eyeball. The police eyeballed the suspects. Eyeglass. She left her eyeglasses at work. Eyelash. She has beautiful dark eyelashes. Eyelid. The upper lower eyelid of the left eye. Eyesight. He wears glasses because his eyesight is not good. Eyewitness. The police are hoping to locate an eyewitness to the shooting. Fable. Aesop's fables. Fabric. The curtains are made of expensive fabric. Fabulous. I had a fabulous time. Face. He has a round face. Facelift. She's planning to get a facelift. Facet. Each facet of the problem requires careful attention. Facial. Facial expressions. Facile. A facile explanation. Facility. A large manufacturing facility. Facing. A house with brick facing. Fact. Rapid electronic communication is now a fact. Faction. The committee soon split into factions. Factor. There were several factors contributing to their recent decline. Factory. An automobile factory. Faculty. She's a member of the Harvard faculty. Fad. She's always interested in the latest fads. Fade. The flowers were fading in the vase. Fahrenheit. The Fahrenheit scale. Fail. He failed in his first attempt but succeeded in his second attempt. Failing. He has some minor failings. Failure. He became discouraged by his repeated failures in business. Flat. Flat ground. Flatly. Lay the mat flatly on the desk. Flatten. He opened the map and flattened it against the tabletop. Flatter. He flattered her with comments about her youthful appearance. Flattery. He tried to win his teacher's favor with flattery. Flavor. This dish has an unusual flavor. Flaw. There was a flaw in the vase. Flea. The dog has fleas. Fleck. A brown cloth with flecks of yellow. Flee. They fled for their lives. Fleet. He was the commander of the Pacific Fleet. Fleeting. Autumn's fleeting beauty. Flesh. The flabby white flesh of his belly. Flex. Flexing a leg. Flexible. Flexible branches swaying in the breeze. Flick. With a flick of his thumb. Flicker. A TV was flickering in the background. Flyer. These birds are graceful flyers. Flight. The flight of a bee. Flimsy. A flimsy building. Flinch. He flinched when I tapped him on the shoulder. Fling. He flung his shoe across the room. Flint. The flint in his cigarette lighter. Flip. Flip a coin. Flip-flop. She wore flip-flops to the beach. Flippant. He gave a flippant response to a serious question. Flirt. He likes to flirt. Flirtation. He had a casual flirtation with her. Flirtatious. Feeling flirtatious. Float. She was floating on her back. Floating. The floating population. Flock. A flock of bird sheep. Flog. The sailors were flogged for attempting a mutiny. Flood. A flood inundated the whole area. Floor. Keep your feet on the floor. Flop. He flopped down onto the bed. Floral. A floral display design. Floss. My dentist told me I should floss more often. Flounder. The horses were floundering through the deep snow. Flour. A 5-pound bag of flour. Flourish. Plants and animals that flourished here thousands of years ago. Flow. Rivers flowing into the sea. Flower. The plant is known for its large white flowers. Flowing. Her flowing hair. Flu. He came down with a bad bout attack case of the flu. Fluctuate. Oil prices fluctuated throughout the year. Fluency. She speaks with great fluency. Fluent. A fluent speaker. Fluff. Her sweater was covered with fluff. Fluffy. The fluffy fur of a kitten. Fluid. Fluid lava. Fluidity. She plays the violin with great fluidity. Fluke. Her second championship shows that the first one was no mere fluke. Flurry. We had a few flurries yesterday. Flush. A flush spread over her face at the mention of his name. Flushed. A flushed face. Flutter. The bird was fluttering its wings. Fly. A bird flew in through the open window. Flying. Flying insects. Foam. As I poured the beer, foam bubbled up in the glass. Focus. The focus of our discussion debate attention will be drug abuse. Focused. They are making a focused effort to win support for the proposal. Fodder. Grain used for fodder. Foe. Political foes. Fog. Heavy fog made it difficult to see the road. Foggy. A gray, foggy morning. Foil. Police managed to foil the burglars. Folding. Folding chairs. Foliage. A tree with pretty foliage. Folk. Folks say that house is haunted. Follow. She followed us into the kitchen. Follower. The candidate's loyal, faithful followers. Following. She found a good job and moved into a new house the following year. Folly. The folly of driving fast on steep, winding roads. Fond. A fond admirer. Fondle. Fondle a coin. Fondly. She speaks fondly of you. Fondness. A fondness for fine wine. Fond. A font of knowledge, wisdom. Food. A farmer who grows his own food. Fool. Those fools who ride motorcycles without wearing helmets. Foolish. A foolish decision, mistake. Foolishly. He foolishly ignored his parents' advice. Foolproof. Foolproof directions. Foot. He was wearing boots on his feet. Footage. Some disturbing footage of the war was shown on the evening news. Football. He played a lot of football in high school and college. Foothold. The army gained a foothold on the island. Footing. The loose stones made it difficult for me to keep my footing. Footprint. The child left her tiny footprints in the snow. Footstep. She slowly took one footstep toward the frightened animal. Footwear. Sneakers, loafers, and other casual footwear. 4. He just left for the office. Forage. The cows were foraging in the pasture. Forbear. He carefully forbore any mention of her name for fear of upsetting them. Forbid. I forbid you to go. Forbidden. Smoking is forbidden. Force. The front of the car took the full force of the collision. Forceful. He has a very forceful personality. 4. The plane's exits are located fore and aft. Foreboding. She was filled with a sense of foreboding. Forecast. They're forecasting rain for this weekend. Forefather. The town is named after one of his forefathers. Foreign. They visited several foreign countries. Foremost. He is the foremost authority scholar on the American Civil War period. Forensic. Forensic medicine. Forensics. A career in forensics. Foresee. We couldn't have foreseen the consequences of our actions. Foresight. They had the foresight to invest the money wisely. Forest. A vast forest. Forestall. Negotiations failed to forestall the conflict. Forestry. She studied forestry in college. Foretaste. The sudden cold snap gave us a foretaste of winter. Forever. He promised he'd love her forever. Forfeit. He forfeited his right to a trial by jury. Forge. Forging hooks out of pieces of iron. Forgery. Check forgery. Forget. He forgot the address. Forgetful. He became forgetful in his old age. Forgive. Forgive your enemies. Forgiveness. I ask your forgiveness. Forgiving. A person with a forgiving nature. Fork. A salad fork. Form. Coal is a form of carbon. Formal. We attended a formal dinner. Formality. Her use of old-fashioned language lends an air of formality to her writing. Formally. They behave very formally with people they don't know well. Format. The book's large-print format. Formation. The formation of new ideas. Former. A former congressman. Formerly. He was formerly a congressman. Formidable. A formidable enemy opponent weapon. Formula. His investment strategy is based on a simple formula. Forsake. All my friends have forsaken me. Fort. They captured the fort after a long battle. Forth. A flow of lava bursting forth from the earth. Forthcoming. The forthcoming holidays. Fortress. A mountaintop fortress. Fortunate. How fortunate we were to find that restaurant. Fortunately. Fortunately, the plane was able to land safely. Fortune. He once made a fortune gambling. 40. The temperature outside is in the high 40s. Forum. Forums were held to determine how to handle the situation. Forward. A sudden movement forward. Foster. We are trying to foster a sense of community. Foul. The foul odor of rotten eggs. Found. Found a colony museum college. Foundation. The inspector discovered a crack in the house's foundation. Fountain. An elaborate marble fountain. Four. The Four of Hearts. 14. 14 days. Fourth. I'll be flying in on the 4th. Fowl. Raising domestic fowl. Fox. A fox coat. Fraction. A fraction of an inch per second. Fracture. A fracture in the Earth's crust. Fragile. The flower's fragile petals. Fragment. Bone fragments. Fragrance. A flower with a lovely fragrance. Frail. A frail child. Frame. She had to extend every inch of her 5-foot frame to reach the top shelf. Framework. These influences threaten the very framework of our society. Franchise. She was granted an exclusive franchise in the city's West End. Frank. She gave me some very frank criticism. Frankly. You can speak frankly to us. Frantic. Frantic cries for help. Fraternity. The racing fraternity. Fraud. He was found guilty of bank fraud. Fraudulent. Corrupt leaders were chosen in a fraudulent election. Fray. He threw himself into the fray. Freak. Who's that freak with the green hair? Freaky. That book was kind of freaky. Free. They're giving out free tickets to the show. Freedom. Religious freedom. Freelance. A freelance writer. Freely. We passed freely through the gate. Freeze. Water freezes to ice. Freezer. A freezer compartment. Freight. Trains that carry both passengers and freight. French. French cuisine. Frenetic. The celebration was noisy and frenetic. Frenzy. The buying frenzy just before Christmas. Frequency. The alarming frequency of serious automobile accidents caused by young drivers. Frequent. We made frequent trips to town. Frequently. This list is updated frequently. Fresh. Fresh vegetables. Freshen. We try to freshen the room with some color. Freshman. My daughter's a freshman at UCLA. Friction. Friction causes heat. Friday. She was here last Friday. Fridge. Please put the milk in the fridge. Fried. Fried fish. Friend. I'd like you to meet my friend. Friendliness. There was friendliness and warmth in his eyes. Friendly. Friendly neighbors. Friendship. They have a long-standing friendship. Fright. Her eyes were wide with fright. Frighten. The story really frightened me. Frigid. The frigid gusts of wind stung their faces. Fringe. A lampshade with a fringe. Frisk. All visitors to the prison are frisked before they're allowed to enter. Frivolous. She thinks window shopping is a frivolous activity. Frizz. She used gel on her hair to control the frizz. Frock. Wearing an old frock. From. He drove here from the city. Front. The front of a shirt. Frontage. We have 200 feet of frontage on Main Street. Frontier. The frontier between Canada and the US. Frost. The grass was covered with frost. Frosting. We put frosting on the cupcakes. Frosty. A frosty night. Froth. Froth on the waves. Frown. She was wearing a frown. Frugal. He's a frugal shopper. Frugality. He's admired for his frugality. Fruit. Apples, oranges, and other fruits. Fruitful. We had a fruitful discussion about the problems with the schedule. Fruitless. They made a fruitless attempt to find a solution. Frustrating. All these delays have been very frustrating. Frustration. He shook his head in frustration. Fry. They fried some chicken for dinner. Fudge. Politicians have been known to fudge the issues. Fuel. A gallon of fuel. Fugitive. They discovered that the slave was a fugitive. Fulfilled. She wants to find the career that will allow her to feel fulfilled. Full. A full bottle. Full-fledged. The conflict widened into a full-fledged war. Fullness. The conditioner added fullness to her hair. Full-scale. They built a full-scale replica of the ship. Fully. He fully recovered from the operation. Fumble. She fumbled in her pocket for her keys. Fume. Automobile exhaust fumes. Fun. The game was a lot of fun. Fund. The library's book fund. Fundamental. The Constitution ensures our fundamental rights. Funding. The program relies on funding from the state. Funeral. Only family attended the funeral. Funk. She seems to be coming out of her funk. Funky. Funky music. Funnel. The funnel cloud of a tornado. Everyone has their little quirks. Quit. He quit his job. Quite. She did quite well. Quiver. Her lips quivered when she heard the bad news. Quiz. The teacher gave us a quiz on the material we studied yesterday. Quotation. Literary illustrative quotations. Quote. She quoted a passage from the book in her article. Rabbit. We keep rabbits as pets. Rebel. An angry, unruly rabble. Rabid. Rabid dogs. Race. A bicycle, boat, car, yacht race. Racer. He is a stock car racer. Racial. Racial stereotypes, prejudices. Racing. Auto yacht racing. Racism. Have you experienced racism? Racist. Racists and bigots. Rack. A bycat luggage magazine, one rack. Racket. A tennis racket. Radar. A powerful radar. Radiance. She had a youthful radiance about her. Radiant. A radiant smile. Radiation. She was exposed to high levels of radiation. Radical. The computer has introduced radical innovations. Radio. The news was sent received by over radio. Radioactive. Uranium and plutonium are radioactive. Radius. Measure the radius of the circle. Raffle. We're having a raffle to raise money for new playground equipment. Raft. A raft of political supporters. Rag. She used a rag to mop up the spill. Range. Her note to him was full of rage. Ragged. A ragged outline. Raid. They launched mounted raid against the enemy. Rail. She leaned over the rail of the ship. Railing. He leaned on the deck's railing and watched the sunset. Railroad. A transcontinental railroad railway. Rain. The weatherman forecasts rain for this afternoon. Rainbow. A rainbow coalition. Rainy. It's been rainy all day today. Raise. Raise your hand if you know the answer. Rake. A leaf rake. Rally. A political rally. Ram. A hydraulic ram. Ramble. He often rambled around about the countryside in an old truck. Ramp. An exit-entrance ramp. Rancid. Rancid butter. Rancorous. A rancorous debate. Random. A random sequence of letters. Range. We'll be covering a range of topics in this class. Ranger. She's now a ranger at a national forest in Montana. Rank. People of high rank and profession. Ransom. The kidnappers demanded a ransom of $1 million. Rant. You can rant and rave all you want, she said, but it's not going to change things. Rap. I was startled by a sharp rap on against at the window door. Rape. He is accused of raping the girl. Rapid. A rapid change in temperature. Rapidly. He was breathing rapidly. Rapt. The students listen with rapt attention. Rapture. We listened with rapture as the orchestra played. Rare. She has the rare ability to make people feel comfortable even in difficult situations. Rarely. She rarely talks about her past. Birdie. In most sports, athletes over the age of 50 are rarities. Rascal. Which one of you rascals woke me up? Onion. The recipe calls for chopped onions. Online. An online printer. Onlooker. Curious onlookers watch the ceremony. Only. He's the only man I've ever loved. Onset. The disease is sudden onset. On-site. Production is all done on-site. On stage. She walked on stage. Onto. We climbed onto the building's roof. Onward. The troops kept moving onward. Ooh. Ooh, that feels good. Ooze. Sap oozed from the tree. Opaque. Opaque glass. Open. An open gate window. Open air. We visited an open-air market in the center of the city. Opener. A bottle opener. Opening. The opening of a cave. Openly. He openly admitted his mistake. Open-minded. Try to be open-minded about the changes. Opera. He is studying opera. Operate. They hope to have the windmill operating again tomorrow. Operation. She's recovering from a major heart operation. Operational. The new airport should be fully operational by next year. Operative. The factory must pass inspection before it becomes operative. Operator. A computer crane operator. Opinion. Why ask my opinion if you have already decided? Opinionated. An articulate and opinionated critic. Opponent. She is a formidable opponent in the race for senator. Opportunity. You'll have the opportunity to ask questions after the presentation. Oppose. The governor opposes the death penalty. Opposing. The crowd booed the opposing team. Opposite. The two boys lived on opposite sides of the street. Opposition. They're going ahead with the plans despite strong fierce opposition from residents. Oppress. The country has long been oppressed by a ruthless dictator. Oppression. The fight against political oppression in the world. Oppressive. The country is ruled by an oppressive regime. Oppressor. They remain at the mercy of their oppressors. Opt. He usually orders strawberry ice cream but opted for chocolate this time. Optical. The company manufactures microscopes, telescopes, and other optical instruments. Optimistic. Both of them were optimistic about the future of the town. Option. You have the option of staying home or coming with us. Opus. The concert began with Beethoven's Opus 27. Or. You can have coffee or tea. Oral. She practices good oral hygiene by brushing her teeth at least twice a day. Orally. The information was communicated orally. Orange. He peeled the orange. Oratory. She's a master of oratory. Orb. The moon was a silvery orb. Orbit. The orbit of the moon around the earth. Orchard. An apple orchard. Orchestra. He plays violin in the school orchestra. Orchestrate. He recently orchestrated a musical. Ordain. He was ordained a priest. Ordeal. Being trapped in the elevator was a harrowing ordeal for the shoppers. Order. The captain was barking out orders to the crew. Orderly. Try to keep your desk neat and orderly. Ordinarily. Ordinarily, we don't accept this as a valid form of identification, but we'll accept it this time. Ordinary. Today was just another ordinary day at work. Ordination. He is a candidate for ordination. Ore. The mine is an important producer of iron ore. Organ. Internal organs. Organic. Organic vegetables. Organism. A microscopic organism. Organization. She is the leader of an international organization devoted to the protection of natural resources. Organize. They hired a professional to help organize their wedding. Organizer. She's a skillful organizer. Orient. They are planning to orient the movie toward teenagers. Oriental. I like Oriental food. Orientation. His political, religious, spiritual orientation. Origin. The origin of this custom tradition is not known equals the origins of this custom tradition are not known. Original. Their original idea was to fix their old car, but they decided to buy a new one instead. Originally. That fan originally belonged to us. Ornament. She wore a hair ornament. Orphan. He was left an orphan when his parents died in a car accident. Orphanage. After the death of his parents, he was raised in an orphanage. Orthodox. He took an orthodox approach to the problem. Ostensible. The ostensible reason for his visit was to see an old friend. Ostentatious. The ostentatious summer homes of the rich. Other. What's in your other hand? Otherwise. All of the books had been burned or otherwise destroyed. Ought. They ought to be here by now. Ounce. If you had an ounce of common sense, you wouldn't try it. Our. Our house dog country. Ours. That house is ours. Ourselves. We consider ourselves lucky. Oust. The rebels ousted the dictator from power. Ouster. The news reported the ouster of the dictator. Out. He went out to the garden. Outbid. He outbid me for the painting I wanted. Outbreak. A cholera outbreak. Outburst. An outburst of anger, kindness. Outcast. She felt like a social outcast. Outcome. The outcome of the election game. Outdoor. Outdoor sports activities. Outdoors. The game is meant to be played outdoors. Outer. the city's outer limits. Outfit. She bought a new outfit for the party. Outgoing. His outgoing personality made him very popular in school. Outgrow. Kids outgrow their clothes so quickly. Outing. We went on a backpacking outing. Outlay. The initial outlay for the program will be $2.4 million. Outlet. Emotional artistic outlets. Outline. An outline of his face showed his high forehead, long nose, and small chin. Outlive. No mother wants to outlive her children. Outlook. The students all seem to have the same outlook. Outnumber. With 20 girls and 10 boys in the class, girls outnumber boys by 2 to 1. Output. The country's yearly agricultural output has increased in recent years. Outrage. Many people expressed outrage at the court's decision. Outrageous. They will be punished for their outrageous behavior conduct. Outright. They rejected the idea outright. Outset. There have been problems with the project from the outset. Outside. The house looks nice from the outside. Outsider. To outsiders, the ritual may seem strange. Outskirts. We live on the outskirts of town. Outstanding. Tonight we will honor the school's most outstanding students, teachers, athletes, performers. Outward. Despite her outward calm, she was extremely nervous about the interview. Outweigh. She outweighs her sister by 10 pounds. Oval. An oval mirror. Oven. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Over. The wall's too high for us to climb over. Overall. He scored highest overall. Overbearing. He had to deal with his overbearing mother. Overboard. He tossed the fish overboard. Overcast. The sky was overcast. Overcome. After a tough battle, they overcame the enemy. Overcrowded. The prison is very overcrowded. Overdue. You should exercise every day, but don't overdo it. Overdose. She died from a cocaine overdose. Overdue. She reminded him that the rent was overdue. Overestimate. I overestimated the number of chairs we would need for the party. Overflow. The river overflowed its banks. Overgrow. The weeds have overgrown the garden. Overgrown. The garden is overgrown with weeds. Overhang. A cliff overhangs a trail. Overhaul. The mechanic overhauled the car's engine. Overhead. Geese were flying overhead. Overhear. She overheard what her boss said to his secretary. Overheated. She worked in a stuffy, overheated office. Overjoyed. She was overjoyed to see her sister again. Overlap. The roof shingles overlap each other. Overload. Don't overload the washing machine. Overlook. The detective overlooked an important clue. Overly. These directions are overly complex. Overnight. He stayed overnight and went home the next day. Overpower. She was able to overpower her attacker. Overprotective. His overprotective mother won't let him go out after dark. Overrated. That movie was disappointing and highly very overrated. Overreact. My mother overreacted when she learned that I had been in an accident. Override. Congress overrode the president's veto. Overriding. We have one overriding concern. Overrun. The tank divisions overran the countryside. Overseas. I lived overseas for a time. Sitter. They hired a sitter so they could go out. Sitting. I got through the book in one sitting. Situated. The building is situated in the bad part of town. Situation. He's in a bad, difficult, dangerous situation. Sit up. She does 50 sit-ups every morning. 6. The 6 of hearts. 16. 16 years. 6th. I'll be flying in on the 6th. 60. She likes music from the 60s. Size. The size of the box is 12 inches long, 6 inches wide, and 5 inches tall. Skate. Hockey players skating into position. Skateboard. He skateboards to school every day. Skating. No skating is allowed in the parking lot. Skeleton. They found the fossil skeleton of a mastodon. Sketch. He drew a sketch of his house. Sketchy. The details about the accident are still a little sketchy. Ski. He loves to ski. Skid. The truck skidded on across the icy road. Skier. Skiers love fresh snow. Skiing. Cross-country downhill skiing. Skill. Poker is a game of luck and skill. Skilled. Skilled workers. Skillfully. The manager handled the problem skillfully. Skim. I skimmed the fat from the broth. Skin. I have dry skin. Skinny. A skinny actress. Skip. He skipped the meeting. Skipper. The boat was skippered by a skilled veteran sailor. Skirmish. Skirmishes broke out between rebel groups. Skirt. She was wearing a short, long skirt. Skitter. Dry leaves skittered over the sidewalk. Skull. He had a fractured skull. Skunk. Her brother's a low-down, dirty skunk. Sky. A starry sky. Slack. Slack rope. Slam. He slammed the door in my face. slander. She is being sued for slander. Slang. American slang. Slant. The floor slants down slightly. Slap. She slapped him across in the face. Slash. Someone slashed his car's tires. Slate. Some school blackboards are made of slate. Slaughter. Slaughter cattle. Slave. Freed escaped former slaves. Slavery. She was sold into slavery. Slay. The knight slew the dragon. Slayer. Police have arrested a man in connection with 3 slayings that happened last month. Sleazy. A sleazy lawyer trick. Sleek. The sleek lines of a sports car. Sleep. I couldn't sleep last night. I was awake all night long. Sleepover. Our daughter is having a sleepover for her friends tomorrow. Sleepy. She felt sleepy and went to bed. Sleeve. A shirt with long short sleeves. Slender. She has a slender figure. Slice. A slice of bread. Slick. Be careful as you drive home, the roads are slick. Slide. The door slides open easily. Slight. Slight adjustments errors. Slightly. I got only a slightly better grade when I retook the test. Slim. She looked slim and fit for her age. Slime. Green slime covers the surface of the pond. Slimy. A slimy rockworm. Sling. She slung the bag over her shoulder. Slip. The ring was too big and slipped off my finger. Slippery. The trails were muddy and slippery. Slit. I slit the bag open at the top. Slither. The snake slithered through the garden. Slump. He's a disgusting slump. Slog. He slogged away at the paperwork all day. Slogan. Political campaign slogans. Slope. They climbed the steep slope. Sloppy. A sloppy effort essay. Slosh. The children sloshed through the big puddle. Slot. A box with a slot in the top. Slouch. Sit up straight. Please don't slouch. Slow. A slow old dog. Slowing. There has been some slowing of the economy. Slowly. Go walk, drive slowly. Sluice. He sluiced the floor. Slum. A city slum. Slumber. The children quietly slumbered. Slump. She fainted and slumped to the floor. Slur. She was slurring her words. Slush. A sidewalk covered with slush. Sly. A sly con man. Smack. He smacked the child on the bottom. Small. They live in a small house. Smart. He's a smart guy. Smartly. He was smartly dressed. Smash. He smashed the vase with a hammer. Smattering. She only knows a smattering of German. Smear. There was a smear on the mirror. Smell. The distinctive smell of onions. Smelly. I don't like smelly cheese. Smile. He greeted me with a big smile. Smite. He vowed that he would smite his enemy. Smith. Ancient smiths developed the techniques needed to make metal tools. Smoke. Smoke from the campfire stung my eyes. Smoker. She's a heavy smoker. Smokestack. She invested in smokestack stocks. Smoking. There is no smoking allowed in this restaurant. Smolder. The remains of the campfire smoldered. Smooth. Smooth-skinned. Smoothly. The whole trip went very smoothly. Smoothness. He smoothed his tie and headed out the door. Smother. He tried to smother her with a pillow. Smudge. His hand left a grimy smudge on the wall. Smug. It's okay to celebrate your success, but try not to be too smug about it. Smuggle. He was arrested for smuggling drugs into the country. Snack. He had a snack of chips and dip. Snag. We hit a snag with our travel plans equals we ran into a snag with our travel plans. Snake. A poisonous snake. Snap. The branch snapped and fell to the ground. Snappy. Snappy colors. Snarl. A brush that smooths out snarls. Snatch. She snatched the ball out of the air and ran down the court. Sneak. They tried to sneak into the movie without paying. Sneaking. A sneaking eavesdropper. Sneaky. A sneaky, untrustworthy person. Sneer. She sneered at me in disgust. Sneeze. She was constantly sneezing and coughing. Sniff. She sniffed and wiped her nose with a tissue. Sniper. The soldiers were attacked by a sniper. Snitch. Someone must have snitched to the police. Snob. Most of the people in the club are snobs who look down on people who attended public schools. Snoop. She locks up her diary to keep her brother from snooping. Snore. My husband snores. Snort. The old dog snorted like a pig when it smelled food. Snout. The dog raised his snout and sniffed. Snow. Snow fell softly on the town. Snowball. The snow is perfect for making snowballs. Snowman. The kids built a snowman in the front yard. Snowshoe. We snowshoed through the woods. Snub. She snubbed me in the hallway. Snug. A snug coat. Snugly. The children slept snugly in bed. So. She had never felt so happy. Soak. Soak the beans overnight. Soap. Make sure you use soap and water to wash your hands. Soar. The temperature soared to 100 degrees. Sob. He began to sob uncontrollably. Sober. I'm driving, so I have to stay sober tonight. So-called. An epidemic of the so-called mad cow disease. Soccer. Both of their children play soccer. Sociable. They are sociable people who enjoy having parties. Social. She has poor good social skills. Socialize. She danced and socialized at the party. Socially. I only know her socially. Society. Poverty hurts society as a whole. Sociology. The problem is sociological. Sock. A white cotton sock. Socket. She plugged the lamp into the socket. Sod. The grounds crew repaired the sod after the football game. Soda. Scotch and soda. Sport. My favorite sports are tennis and volleyball. Sporting. Sporting events. Spot. The wood still has some rough spots. Spotlight. They aimed the spotlight at the center of the stage. Spotty. Her work has been spotty. Spout. The well was spouting oil. Sprawl. The kid sprawled on the floor to watch TV. Spray. The paint was applied in a fine spray. Spread. The newspaper was spread across his lap. Spree. A buying, shopping, spending spree. Spring. We'll plant the seeds next spring. Springtime. Springtime is her favorite time of year. Sprinkle. He sprinkled water on the plants. Sprint. He sprinted to class. Sprinter. He made a sprint for the finish line. Spur. The reward was offered as a spur to greater work achievement. Spurn. She spurned their offer. Spurt. Water spurted from the broken pipe. Sputter. The motor sputtered and died. Spy. He was a spy for the CIA. Squabble. The children were squabbling over the toys. Squad. The bomb fraud fi squad. Square. The fabric is decorated with circles and squares. Squash. She squashed the bug. Squat. He squatted behind the bush to avoid being seen. Squawk. The crow squawked loudly. Squeak. I could hear the mouse squeaking. Squeal. The pigs were squealing. Squeeze. Squeeze the bottle tube. Squint. She had to squint to read the small print. Squirt. He squirted some oil on the door hinge. Stab. He died from a stab to the heart. Stability. The country's political and economic stability. Stable. A stable community government. Stack. He had arranged the letters in stacks. Staff. The entire staff has done a great job this year. Stage. An early late stage of the disease. Stagger. The drunk staggered away off. Stagnate. Wages have stagnated recently. Stain. The red wine stained the carpet. Stainless. He has a stainless reputation. Stair. She ran down the stairs. Staircase. A wooden staircase. Stake. Joan of Arc was burned at the stake. Stale. Stale food. Stalemate. The budget debate ended in a stalemate. Stalk. A flower stalk. Stalking. He was arrested and charged with stalking. Stall. Food stalls. Stammer. He stammers when he's nervous. Stamp. A 39-cent stamp. Stand. She was standing near the window. Standard. High-low standards of quality. Standardize. He standardized procedures for the industry. Standby. More police officers were sent as standbys. Standing. Start the exercise in a standing position. Standpoint. From an economic standpoint, the policy is sound. Staple. Please fasten the pages with paper clips rather than staples. Star. They gazed up at the stars. Starboard. The ship turned to starboard. Starch. The starch in pasta. Stare. She was staring straight ahead. Stark. A stark white room. Starlight. We had to find our way by starlight. Start. They started clearing land for the new housing development. Startle. The noise startled me. Startlingly. The prediction was startlingly accurate. Starvation. The famine brought mass starvation. Starve. Without food they would starve. Stasis. The country is in economic stasis. State. Happiness is the state or condition of being happy. Statement. His office issued released an official statement concerning his departure. Statesman. He was a soldier and statesman. Static. A static population. Station. They drove him to the bus train station. Stationery. A store that sells stationery. Statue. Bronze statues. Status. He likes his job and the high status that comes with it. Statute. The state legislature passed the statute by an overwhelming margin. Staunch. She is a staunch advocate of women's rights. Stay. Please stay in the auditorium. Steadfast. They were steadfast friends. Steadfastly. She steadfastly held to her views. Steadily. Wages have steadily increased. Steady. She used a tripod to keep the camera steady. Steak. I grilled a steak for dinner. Steal. They stole thousands of dollars worth of jewelry from the store. Steam. Careful, the steam from the pot is hot. Steamer. We rode a steamer down the Mississippi. Steed. A brave knight and his noble steed. Steel. The beams are made of steel. Steep. A steep slope hillside. Steer. She steered the ship through the strait. Steering. The steering on this car is a little stiff. Stem. He cut the plant off at the base of the stem. Stench. The stench of rotting meat. Step. Counting our steps. Stereo. Broadcasting in stereo. Stereotype. Racial cultural stereotypes. Sterile. Sterile soil fields. Stern. A stern judge. Sternly. No running in the house, he said sternly. Steroid. A steroid user-abuser. Stew. I made a stew for dinner. Steward. The steward of their investments. Stick. They collected dry sticks for the campfire. Sticky. My fingers are sticky. Stiff. Stiff valves cardboard fabric. Stiffen. She stiffened when he grabbed her shoulder. Stiffly. Excuse me, he said stiffly. Stifle. Trying to stifle a crayon. Stigmatize. Society stigmatizes welfare recipients. Still. He still lives there. Stimulant. Caffeine is a stimulant. Stimulate. Caffeine stimulates the heart. Stimulus. The pay raise was a stimulus for production. Sting. I got stung by a bee. Stingy. A stingy old miser. Stink. These dirty clothes stink. Stinky. Move your stinky feet. Stint. He had a brief stint as a mail carrier. Stipulate. The ceasefire was stipulated by the treaty. Stir. She stirred her coffee. Stirring. She gave a stirring speech at the awards banquet. Stitch. The stitches on a baseball. Stock. That camera is out of stock. Stocking. A pair of wool stockings. Stoker. He worked as a coal stoker for the railroad. Stole. A mink stole. Stomach. She has problems with her stomach. Stomp. He stomped angrily out of the room. Stone. The pedestal is made of stone. Stool. She sat on a stool. Stoop. She stooped down to hug the child. Stop. She was walking toward me and then she suddenly stopped. Storage. The house has plenty of storage. Store. I stored my furniture until I found a new apartment. Storm. The sky got dark and it looked like a storm was coming. Story. The movie is based on a true story. Storytelling. She is good at storytelling. Stout. The plant has a stout stem. Stove. Is the stove on/off? Stow. He stowed his gear in a locker. Straddle. He straddled the stool. Straight. A straight line edge. Straighten. He straightened the bent antenna. Straightforward. Using the computer program is fairly straightforward. Strain. The work has been a strain on me. Strained. Her voice sounded strained. Strand. The strands were twisted together. Strange. Does his behavior seem strange to you? Strangely. He has been acting very strangely lately. Strangeness. The strangeness of the dream puzzled me. Stranger. Children are taught not to talk to strangers. Strangle. He used a rope to strangle her. Strap. A bra leather strap. Strategic. Strategic planning warfare. Strategically. The road is strategically located. Strategy. They are proposing a new strategy for treating the disease with a combination of medications. Strawberry. We pick strawberries. Stray. Two cows strayed into the woods.